Hello, everybody. I'm Peter Grant with Zaner Metals in Denver. This is This Week in Metals. My colleague in the canyon of LaSalle Street
Yes,
is
I
Peter
am standing in
Thomas.
front of the Chicago Board of Trade on a rather 34-degree chilly day, but it's all good. But I'm not standing in front of the yards, which was kind of startling to me. I didn't know we were moving into agriculture, Mr. Grant.
Well, being from Denver, the National Western Stock Show is a big deal every
That is a big
January,
deal. That
and
is.
we love it. We love the rodeo. We love.
Oh,
They
yeah.
actually do a cattle drive, down the
Oh, I
streets
didn't
of
know that.
Denver.
That's great.
The prize steer, takes up residency in the Brown Hotel, and
Oh, that's
it's just
cool.
it's a hoot. And
Yeah. Yeah.
unfortunately, because of COVID, it's been canceled this year.
Has it
Only
been
this
canceled ever before?
one other time, 1915,
I
because
remember it. Oh, yes. That was it. That was hoof and
you
mouth, wasn't it?
hoof and mouth disease broke
I knew
out
it.
in livestock, and they prohibited the movement of livestock across state lines, so they ended up canceling the show. So
Wow.
this would have been the 115th show, but they're promising bigger and better in
I hope so.
2022.
That's a
So
heck of a tradition. I had no idea they put a cow in the lobby of a hotel. That's pretty amazing.
yeah, interesting thing in Denver, you don't
Yeah.
take your Christmas lights down until after the stock show. So now
Oh,
I
okay.
don't know what to do.
Now,
My Christmas lights staying up until
all right.
next
Well, but
January or what?
all of you who are following Zaner Metals, you can take your lights down now. Okay. There you go. They've
Hey,
gotten the go ahead. Okay.
hey, let's jump right into gold.
You bet.
Under a little bit of pressure last week. Most of that pressure came on Friday.
Yeah.
Market ended down just a little bit over 1%. It was the second consecutive lower weekly close, and we're down 3.5% so far on the year to
Right.
date. So the first couple weeks, several
Well,
weeks
the first
in
couple of
January.
weeks. Right. Right.
Yeah, we went from an 8-week high 2 weeks ago to a 4-week low last week. Um, but
Yeah.
the important thing is we're only about 12% off of the all-time high set in August of last year. So you know it's corrective, and I would suggest perhaps just based on recent activity that there's some additional downside potential. But I still
Well, I
think
mean,
it's
it's
corrective.
if you believe in the charts, but there's a whole lot of stuff going on that we'll talk about later on in the show that could invert that. So,
Yeah.
uh,
So
you know,
so largely we're looking at the Biden stimulus. We
yes,
got the specifics late last week. So
right,
another 1.9 trillion dollars, $1,400 additional stimulus checks on top of the 600 bucks that were approved in December. Additional unemployment benefits,
yes,
support to state and local governments and businesses as well. So another big injection of liquidity,
right.
which is going to have a negative impact on the dollar longer term, I believe,
Oh, you're
and
100% right. Yeah,
that bodes well for gold.
yeah. That's a big boat too, because also we get to toss in the Indian wedding season, which was canceled last year, if you recall. The largest or the second largest consumption of gold is for that event in the world. And as they pushed it back, there are a whole lot of families that want to get their marriages rolling here. I have a feeling we're going to see a big push for physical coming out of India shortly. And the minute we get a dip, I think we're gonna see some aggressive buying for that holiday.
Yeah, and the World Gold Council sort of confirms what you're thinking, that
Yeah.
they're expecting a big uptick in Indian demand. This is something that you and I have been talking about for months. That
Yes.
when Asian buying comes back, and Asian physical buying comes
Physical
back into
buying.
the
Right.
market,
Hmm.
that it's going to be, I think, the next big catalyst in the uptrend.
Well,
So
Pete. I mean, let's just look at the facts. Tell us what happened in Hong Kong last night?
well, the in China in general,
Yeah.
it went from gold purchases
Right.
went from a discount to spot
right.
11 months of discount, which is
11-month
reflect.
inversion against spot. In some cases, it was almost 14 or $15 below spot in Hong Kong. And what happened to it? It exploded,
Yeah, so it suddenly went to premium. So
right?
anywhere from 50 cents to $4 in premium.
Yeah,
And that's, so when gold trades at a discount to spot, it's reflective of weak demand.
right.
And people are just trying to move inventory, so they give you a cheaper price below spot.
Exactly right.
When demand comes back, the market moves back into the more traditional premium situation.
Well put.
And so we'll see if it's sticky.
Well,
But
a $19 swing to the plus side, of which we haven't seen really going on a year. I think that between India and China, we've been talking about the Asian markets, like you said, for quite some time. This is going to be interesting.
yeah, so Western investors, primarily investing through ETFs, have been carrying the
Yes,
ball for the
right.
gold market
Yeah.
for much
Buying
of
that
last
paper
year.
gold, you know.
And now I think it's time for the physical buyers to come in. Here's the thing, and in fact, uh, I just want to clarify one point about the swing from discount to premium. And what Reuters reported was it went from a
That
$7 to
was Reuters.
$10 discount to 50 cents to $4. So,
Right.
and there very well could have been days where it was a deeper discount, but
Absolutely right. There
kind of
was.
the general
Yeah,
sense was
they
that it
probably
was.
ran a mean on it.
Yeah.
Right, look at Reuters is very good on this. Their metals desk isn't as good as Bloomberg's, but it's good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the World Gold Council also reported the final tally for ETFs. So
Ah,
again, just kind of touching on what we were saying about the Western investors
yes.
carrying the ball. So inflows to ETFs in 2020, 877 tons.
A mere bag of shells, as a friend of mine would say.
That's a lot of
Incredible.
gold, my friend.
It's a
But
lot of
you know
gold,
what it
baby.
brings the total to, the total holdings in the
Yes.
vault, 3,752 tons of gold now held by ETFs. It
Wow.
is the second largest holding
Russia's
behind,
bigger
no, it's
in Fort
US.
Knox?
Yeah,
Yeah,
US
but we don't know
holdings.
what's in Fort Knox. There's
Well,
been a 30 years standing for an audit of the gold in Fort
let's
Knox. It's been refused every year.
let's call
Nobody
it
knows what's in
the
Fort Knox.
generally reported holdings
Yeah.
of the United States of America and our central bank are
Okay.
bigger.
Yeah.
But
All
yeah,
right.
ETF holdings are in second
That's
place now.
pretty impressive.
Yeah, it really is. And while we saw some outflows last week and
Right.
some in the previous week as well,
Yeah.
it's still very healthy. And we very well could see investors come back in. We
Oh,
got
sure.
a lot of uncertainty going into this week.
We
With
get some
the
skittishness in the
inauguration and
stock market. You can see
yeah,
them flooding back in again.
right.
Absolutely right. I agree with you 100%.
Yeah, and the other thing that, with respect to kind of pricking the bubble in the stock market,
Yeah.
we've been watching the yields pretty closely over the last couple of
Right.
weeks. Last week, or actually 2 weeks ago now, we went above 1%.
Well, the
Uh,
short term exploded. Everybody in the financial world was going, what's going on? It
yeah.
was, yeah, it was, I'm glad you brought that up.
Right. And
Listen,
and they remain buoyant. Yields remain
yeah,
buoyant at this point because people, are thinking ahead towards recovery, and when is the Fed, going to either taper asset purchases or perhaps even hike rates again. Now, the
that'd be
Fed speak
interesting.
the Fed speak last week was very, we're not raising rates anytime
Hey,
soon.
dude, we have the biggest dove in the history of the Fed coming in here shortly, and she is not rocking the boat. So let's get that out of your mind,
Yeah,
okay?
the political pressure on the Fed to remain uber accommodative
Yep,
is going to be intense, I think. And
absolutely.
so even
Yeah,
with the fiscal stimulus coming on,
yep.
I think the Fed is not going to be inclined to tighten policy uh,
Hey,
anytime this year.
I
So
concur. So let me ask you something. What did you saw silver? The technical action in silver has been rather robust. We've seen it on both sides of the chart, and
yeah.
what do you think? How does technically, Pete? What are you seeing here?
Yeah, overall, I remain favorable
Okay.
towards silver.
Yeah.
Again, I think if you believe, my sense is to entice physical buyers back into the gold market, we might need to see a 16 handle. Um,
Wow.
the
Really?
important supports are still intact
Okay.
at this point, but I just don't like the price action in gold. If gold drops below 17 bucks, we're going to see additional pressure in silver as well.
Okay.
Um, and we had kind of a week last week. So silver was down 2.5%, particularly bad showing on Friday. Again, the second consecutive lower weekly close. Um, and the low for the week was under pressure on Friday, as I suggested. So we could see potential back to 24 bucks in the short term, but then,
All right.
you know, there is additional
Look,
downside potential
well,
beyond that.
representing the miners, the scrappers, and the refiners, and all of my friends on that side of the fence, the Silver Institute, which probably writes the best paper, guys who are involved with silver should look at it. Great piece of work, and they sent me their new one, and I think it's out. They projected, and I jotted this down, with the new demand for electric cars by 2025, they're projecting an additional consumption of 90 million ounces of silver just for the cars. So I'm having a real hard time getting bearish silver here
No,
with
I
everything that's
agree with
going
you.
on. Yeah,
I absolutely agree with you, and I think
yeah,
that again, there's a big push in China, in Europe,
yeah.
and to some degree in the United States as well
Singapore.
to drive
Yeah,
um, carbon neutrality, and that's
yep,
gonna be very supportive to silver in the long term.
yep.
And yeah, that's a big number you're talking.
Oh, yeah. I mean, got to find it somewhere, right? I don't know where, but definitely do. I
Yeah,
mean, which really, goes to Dr. Copper.
right.
I mean, we've got some very interesting numbers in there, Pete.
Yeah, I mean, copper set near an 8 year high
Right.
2 weeks
2
ago,
weeks ago.
and it
Yeah.
was consolidative trading last week, so generally confined to the previous week's range. So inside week, it ended up down 2.5% on the week,
Yes.
and so again, I think that we could see some additional corrective activity. Just
I agree. I
yep,
agree with you. Our scrappers that I talked to were saying we're dumping everything out of the yard. I said we anything that we had stockpiled, we're just pushing it out. So I believe from my side of the fence, we're going to see a lot of tractor trailers loaded up with rod and wire and cars, crushed cars, and things like that because the demand has. A lot of the guys are saying, I'm gonna start cleaning this out, putting this money on the books for starting off the new year. So I agree with you 100%.
yeah. And if you're a hedging client on the Tornado platform, it might not be a bad idea to lock in, anything
That's
above
that's really
three
really a good
dollars and
idea.
seventy cents.
And the nice thing on the Tornado platform that a lot of people don't know about Zaner is that you can hedge down to the pound. So if you've got 77,000 pounds of copper in your truck, you just take out your phone, tap the number in, and you're hedged. That's it. Period. I
Yeah,
think it's a
it's slick.
penny. It's a penny to hedge copper. It's incredibly cheap, and it protects you until you get to wherever you are to deliver your load. So give us a call, talk to us about that because I think that's pretty important.
Yeah, happy to talk to you. And it's slick technology to be able to
Yeah.
be out on the road and
Yeah.
hedge your load and
Hedge your load. Yeah.
drive comfortably to
Drive
your.
comfortably and taking your time. And when you get there and you roll across the scales and you pick out your phone and you take your hedge off and there's no loss in between the time you loaded it to the time you got there. I mean, it's just a great invention. And guys, a lot of guys don't know that. So
Yep.
I'm glad
Protect
we
your
touched on that.
margins. Protect your margins for sure.
Also, one more number I'm gonna release to our people. I'm sorry, I'm kind of overloading you here, but Bill Gates, who is the ultimate geek on numbers, Mr. I read 5 books a day. When he comes out with some numbers, usually they're pretty good. He just said that by 2060, we will have seen a doubling in demand for natural assets, as in all of your base metals for building and construction. So he's talking about, he used an analogy of the city of Manhattan being built from the ground up again in the next 20 years. That's what the demand on metal is going to be like. And if you remember on our lecture on copper, every every big house has 400 pounds of copper in it. Okay, so there's going to be some big demand on your base metals, and silver's going to be right in there. So, I thought I'd mention it.
No, definitely. We're hearing of sort of voracious demand out of
Yep.
China as
Oh,
well, and in
staggering.
copper
Yeah.
and other natural
Yep.
resources. So
Yep.
the copper market still looks good. And while like I said, I could see a short-term correction here.
Right.
It's likely to be viewed as a buying opportunity in anticipation of $4 copper at some point down the road.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, I'm thinking 412 is my number, but then again, I'm one of those crazy commodity guys, so you got to watch out, right?
Yeah, let's talk PGMs a little
Oh,
bit.
absolutely. Yeah.
Platinum was the one winner in the precious metals last week,
Again,
up a scant 0.5%.
doesn't
But
matter. It closed higher, baby. If you owned it, you made money.
yeah, it's not liking being above $1,100 though. Two weeks in a
Feeling a
row,
lot of pressure. You're right.
it got rejected from up there, and so again, there could be a little bit of a pullback here. Maybe $1,000 is pretty decent support at this point, but maybe potentials to 950. But I like the long-term prospects for platinum as well. And I think again, green energy spending bodes well for platinum in the same way it bodes well for silver and copper.
Well, I mean, there's nothing but positive news for higher prices. Shout out to John Perez over at Comstock Mining, who sent me some information about Neil Fronman, who's the CEO of Cybridge Stillwater, Platinum Palladium in South Africa. He's kind of one of the guys. Remember, we had Mr. Davis on before. He's the other real major source in platinum palladium. But Neil sent out a note and to his group, which said he's expecting platinum to double in the next few years, and everybody plots because Mr. Neil never makes comments about price or anything like that. And I was kind of shocked. I didn't see him coming out at all saying anything, and here he is going, yeah, we're probably going to be well above 2,200. And I'm like, wow, okay, so
That's
we're getting some interesting information.
Yeah, and investment interest in platinum has been pretty strong
It
as well,
has.
but I think it's sort of piggybacking the underlying fundamentals
Okay.
in terms of demand. People are getting wind, and we've been talking quite a bit about hydrogen fuel cells, and
Yes.
um,
And which, by the way, he mentioned in his letter. He said hydrogen in China is a reality. I thought that was interesting.
all right. So
Yeah.
yeah, and just imagine what that's going to likely mean for the other precious metals.
Oh yeah.
To see platinum at 20,
Staggering.
above $2,000.
Oh, it's going to be very interesting. And by the way, as at ZanerPreciousMetals.com, where we sell metal, try to find a platinum eagle. Have you seen one lately, P?
No,
Okay,
no. But
so
we do have availability on
ingot.
1 ounce platinum bars.
Yep.
Platinum maples are
Oh,
out there as well.
nice.
So
I
if
didn't
you,
know they'd come in. I'm
yeah,
glad. It's a good place to learn.
right, right.
All
So
right.
there is
There you go,
platinum
guys. We've
available.
got platinum maples. We don't know how long we're going to have platinum maples, but they came in. So
Yeah.
here you go. Here's your opportunity.
Palladium. Oh, palladium was also up last week. So it was up about 2%, but still, range bound, basically within that very broad range established,
A few months back,
when
about 6 months
COVID
back.
first came
Yeah,
out in March,
right.
April, but with kind of a general upside bias. I still like palladium as well, but if
Well,
you gave me my choice between
uh,
platinum and palladium right now, I think
yeah.
the greater potential's in platinum.
Yeah, the growth, but there's more growth potential there because it's been at 18, it's at 11. We're in new areas. Rhodium, by the way, which we mentioned in one of our shows way back at 1400, broke through, or back at 14,000, excuse me, broke through 20,000 this week. Just a little mention there for those of you who watch our show. You've been very well rewarded. And right now, it looks like some of the rarer earths are really, really gonna are in demand right now. And with the second mutant or mutation of COVID-19 into what they're calling the COVID-2, we're seeing a much higher morbidity ratio on it. So we're losing a lot of miners right now in Africa. Our hearts go out to their families who are suffering tremendously. We hate to see it, but we're seeing the fact that we might go into a deficit here.
Right. And I mean, certainly if we have any kind of lockdowns in our future, similar to what we experienced, early in the second quarter of
Right.
2020, that's going to be, again, devastating to logistics. I would say that,
A very valid point, Steve.
indications from our trading platform, from the Tornado platform, metal dealers are stocking up and
Yep.
stocking up in a big way.
Big way. Yeah.
um,
Yeah.
and and you know maybe they're seeing something down the road that is suggestive of further lockdowns. And
I think there that a number of our dealers, and we have a lot of them, are concerned about just running out of product.
right.
And so when it's coming available, they're buying it. And to me, that gives an underlying tone of strength to the market. And a lot of dealers I'm talking to are going, well, got any, how's your gold eagle stand look like? And there's, I mean, a lot of guys are worried about not the U.S. Mint being unable to stamp, but like you pointed out, very, very valid point, is just the ability to deliver with COVID. And if the secondary mutant does take off a little bit here, it's going to be real dry, and these guys are probably going to be the only people around that have product.
Yeah, and sort of another indication of that is we saw some premium creep last
Right,
week.
right.
So
We did.
premiums are edging up
Yep.
already, and some of that may have to do with the inauguration and worries about civil
Sure.
unrest and so forth.
Absolutely.
That could be factoring in, but
Yeah.
COVID is still a thing,
Yeah.
and
It's
it's going
yeah.
to be a
It's
thing
very
for a
real.
while.
It's very real.
Yeah.
And but they're getting the inoculations out, and actually everyone else is waiting in line, pulling in the car lots, doing this and that. I just love Florida. They go, oh, stop over to the drugstore. Hey, we, just pop into your Publix and go in there and you get your shot. It's like just cracking it out there. It's like it's amazing when you go from one state to another. How just the
Right.
general attitude.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, anyway, so next, as this week kicks off, look for perhaps a little bit of additional downside pressure in
Okay.
the metals, but I think overall it's the trends, the uptrends are intact.
Or if nothing else, the base, the support on our side for the real metals has been strong, is staying strong, and we're seeing people buying. So a product is not staying on the shelves, which is always a strong indicator for us on the real world side. So
Yeah.
we'll
Hey,
see next week, right?
yeah, and first time buyers last week, a lot of first time buyers.
And
So
and I was we're I'm so glad we're starting to see people coming in buying rolls again, rolls of silver, because we guys, you got to start somewhere. That's it. that's the place to go. All right. And so I was I mean, it's really starting to pick up. I'm really happy about that.
We got them, and we're very competitively priced
Yeah,
at
we are.
zanermetals.com.
You betcha.
So with that, my friend, have a great trading week.
Thank you.
I'm Peter Grant with Zaner Metals in Denver. You guys make it a good one as well.
Pete Thomas, Chicago Board of Trade here in Chicago in the Financial District at Zaner Precious Metals.